You can see then from the yes. So we have done one and two. I want to do a brief review of what we've done before, just to help us. Some of you weren't here for the last two or for the previous two sessions, so I'll just give a little uh, preview of that. The theme of the series is offering a new perspective on world history. The Europeans' demonization of Africa has resulted in our people losing sight of the grand and noble history of Africa. In a very small way, we are adding our voices to those trying to repair the damage. One of our presented last time was Professor Gus John. He, in his presentation, he focused on the African Union's goal to make the African diaspora the sixth region of Africa. That was very interesting. So they wanted to embrace those of us who are not residents in Africa, but we're part of that story nonetheless. The other presenter was uh, Arthur Torrington, who spoke about the resistance movement in the Caribbean during the time of slavery. And I just pause here to say that those of you who would like to have copies of their presentation, please please put it in the chat and we will get it to you. Leave your email address and we'll send it to you. The next presenter last time around, the last two sessions was Pastor Samuel Waju. And he brought to us enlightenment about the friendship of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. It was very interesting. And you can learn more about that if you ask for the PowerPoint presentation. And finally, my presentation explained Ethiopia's role in the history of Christianity. Christianity took roots in Ethiopia long before it came to Europe. So that's just a summary of what we've done so far. Just to recap, the theme basically is offering a new perspective on world history, following the uh, demonization of Africa, which has resulted in our people not having sight of the grand story of Africa. Gus John talked about the African Union. Arthur Turrington spoke about the resistance movement in the Caribbean during the time of slavery. And Pastor Wadju, a student of, not only a pastor, but a student of African history, he brought enlightenment on Queen of Sheba and her friendship with King Solomon. And as I said just now, I explained the role of Ethiopia in the history of Christianity. So that's just a little insight into what took place the previous two sessions. For today, our first presentation will be made by Dr. June Alexis, entitled Black Inventors. Now, Dr. Alexis comes to us with a lot of experience. She's been a head teacher. She has been Ofsted inspector. She's the author of two books, and she's done a lot of work in the community, supporting children, being an advocate for those children who might be at risk for, say, exclusion from school. So she's a mighty force in our community in terms of assisting the community to develop and to build its presence. And so I have the real pleasure of inviting Dr. Alexis to now make her presentation and to bring us what she has to say about Black inventors. So over to you, Dr. June Alexis.
Yeah. Dr. Davidson, I'm going to share my screen now.
Yeah, let me stop this. I'm going to take the agenda off now. And so you can share your screen.
All right. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Looking at
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm going to do things about Black achievements and inventions, this presentation, but I just want to do an introduction first of all. History is the mirror through which we look to discover, know ourselves and our possibilities. This was said by Professor Kangaranga. The Black skin was a symbol of honor, beauty, fertility, richness, and prosperity. You can wipe out an entire generation. You can burn their homes to the ground, and somehow they will still find their way back. But if you destroy their history, you destroy their achievements. It is as if they never existed. In addition, young people need to know about the achievements and inventions of people who look like them. Knowing this will also help build and strengthen young people of color self-image and confidence. We are not just excellent sports and music achievers. Some of the greatest thinkers, leaders, and inventors in history are people of color. In fact, about 85% of the things invented have been invented by people of color. Today, I want to share with you the achievement and invention of some of our color, African people, people of African descent, so that slavery will no longer be considered our only history. I'm trying to get on to this to move my screen. Right, I've gone back. Something's gone wrong, Keith. Tell me what's gone wrong.
You may have to.
Okay, let me go back.
Share again.
If I share here and go to this.
Come back. Then you can put it on to slideshow. Yes.
I'm trying to find slideshow, but I can't.
You got it now. You got your PowerPoint on. You may need to use the okay, good. Yes.
Something's on here. Right. Can you see the screen? Because
we can.
We can see.
This is Dr. Carter.
Yes, we can.
This is Dr. Carter Woodson. He pioneered the celebration of the Negro History Week. I've made that quite clear, and I'll say something later on to that. Carter Woodson was a school supervisor in the Philippines. He later attended the University of Chicago and completed his PhD in history at Harvard University, where he was the second African American after W.E.B. Du Bois to earn a doctorate. He later joined the faculty at Howard University as professor. He became convinced that the role of African American history and the history of other cultures were being ignored or misrepresented among scholars. Woodson saw a need for research into the neglected past of African Americans. Alongside with Alexander L. Jackson, Woodson published The Education of the Negro prior to 1861 in 1915. And he devoted the rest of his life to historical research. So he worked to preserve the history of African Americans and accumulated a collection of thousands of artifacts and publications. He noted that African American contributions were overlooked, ignored, and even suppressed by the writers of history textbooks and teachers who used them. Race prejudice, he concluded, is merely the logic result of tradition, the inevitable outcome of thorough instruction to the effect that the Negro has never contributed anything to the progress of mankind. Please excuse me, but I'm using the word Negro here. I know a lot of people are not keen on that word. In 1926, Woodson pioneered the celebration of the Negro History Week. designated for the second week in February, to coincide with marking the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. However, it was the Black United Students and Black educators at Kent State University that founded Black History Month on the 1st of February 1970. Woodson urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishment of Black Americans in every era of endeavor throughout our history. He wrote, "If you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. If you can determine what a man thinks, you do not have to worry about what he will do. Suppose you can make a man believe that he's inferior. In that case, you don't have to compel him to seek an inferior status. He will do so without being told. And if you can make a man believe that he's justly an outcast, you don't have to order him back to the back door. He will go to the back door on his own. And if there is no back door, the very nature of the man will demand that you build one." Can you see the screen still? I want to introduce to you the real father of medicine and the world's first multi-genius. Imhotep was a chief architect to the Egyptian pharaoh Dosiet. He was a scientist, a poet, astrologer, a priest, world's first physician. He was a commoner by birth. Imhotep's intelligence and determination enabled him to rise through the ranks to become one of Dosiet's most trusted advisors, as well as the architect responsible for the world's first known monumental stone building of Pharaoh's tomb, the Step Pyramid. He is the first architect known by name in history. He also was glorified for his skill as a physician and a healer. He is said to have extracted medicine from plants and treated diseases such as appendicitis, gout, and arthritis. It was believed that he could help people solve difficulties in their daily lives and cure medical problems. When the Greeks conquered Egypt, they recognized him in attribute of their medicine god, Asphelpas, and continued to build temples to him. His reputation lasted until the Arab invasion of North Africa in the 7th century AD. Imhotep's influence lived on well after his death. I want to show you Olaudah Equiano. We believe he was born around 1745, but we know that he died on 31st of March, 1797. He was sold at the age of around 10, 11 to a Royal Navy officer, Lieutenant Michael Pascal, who renamed him Gustavus Vasa after the 16th century Swedish king. Equiano traveled the oceans with Pascal for 8 years, during which time he was baptized and learned to read and write. Pascal then sold Equiano to a ship captain in London, who took him to Montserrat, where he was sold to the prominent merchant Robert King. While working as a dockhand, valet, and a barber for King, Equiano earned money by trading on the side. It took him only 3 years, he was able to gain enough money to buy his freedom. Equiano then spent much of the next 20 years traveling the world, including trips to Turkey and the Arctic. In 1786 in London, he became involved in the movement to abolish slavery. He was a prominent member of the Sons of Africa. There was a group of 12 Black men who campaigned for the abolition of slavery. In 1789, he published his autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, or Gustavus Vasa, the African. In his autobiography, Equiano writes that he was born in Igbo province, in the area that is now southern Nigeria. He described how he was kidnapped with his sister at around the age of 11, sold by local slave traders, and shipped across the Atlantic to Barbados and then Virginia. He traveled widely promoting the book, which became immensely popular, helped the abolitionist cause, and made Equiana a wealthy man. It is one of the earliest books published by a Black African writer. This is another picture of him, and somebody's saying this is the real picture of him. The other one is not the correct one, but I decided to put both on, but they say this is, he, and remember, these were 12 Black men who, and he's one of them, who resisted and felt slavery was wrong and it should not be taking place. Next, I've got before you here, a lot of you have heard of him, Booker T. Washington. He was born in April 1858 and died in November 1915. He was an American educator, author, and orator. Between 1819 and 1815, Washington was the primary leader in the African American community and of the contemporary Black elite. He was born into slavery in Halesford, Virginia. Washington was freed when the U.S. troops reached the area during the Civil War. As a young man, Booker T. Washington worked his way through Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute and attended colleges at Wayland Seminary. In 1881, he was named as the first leader of the new Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, an institute for Black eye education. He expanded the college, enlisted students in constructions of buildings. Work at the college was considered fundamental to students' larger education. He attained national prominence for his Atlanta address of 1895, which attracted the attention of politicians and the public. Washington played a dominant role in Black politics, winning wide support in the Black community of the South and among more liberal whites. Washington wrote an autobiography, Up from Slavery, in 1901, which became a major text. In that year, he dined with Theodore Roosevelt at the White House, which was the first time a Black person publicly met the president on equal terms. Washington was a key opponent of African American businesses and one of the founders of the National Negro Business League. Washington mobilized a nationwide coalition of middle-class Blacks, church leaders, and politicians with the goal of building the community's economic strength and pride by focusing on self-help and education. Washington had the ear of the powerful and the American of his day, including presidents. He used the 19th century American political system to manipulate the media, raise money, develop strategies, network dispute fronts, and reward a corridor of supporters. Because of his influence, his influential leadership, the time span his activity from 1880 to 1915 has been called the age of Booker T. Washington. Washington called for the Black progress through education, rather than trying to challenge directly the Jim Crow segregation and the disenfranchisement of Black voters in the South. Furthermore, he supported racial uplift, but secretly also supported court challenges to segregation and the restrictions on voters' registration. Elijah McCoy, the inventor of the lubricating system. You've all heard the expression, the real McCoy. The noted African-American inventor Elijah McCoy was born the 2nd of May, 1844 in Colchester, Ontario, Canada, to parents who had fled slavery. At the age of 15, his parents sent him to Scotland for an apprenticeship in mechanical engineering. He returned home to Michigan after being certified as a mechanical engineer. But despite his qualification, McCoy was unable to work as an engineer in the United States due to racial barriers. Skilled professional positions were not available for African Americans at the time, regardless of their training or background. McCoy continued to refine his devices, receiving nearly 60 patents over the course of his life. In an effort to improve efficiency and eliminate the frequent stopping necessary for lubrication of the train, McCoy set out to create a method of automating the task. In 1872, he developed a lubricating cup that could automatically drip oil when and where needed. While the majority of his inventions related to lubrication systems, he also developed designs for an ironing board, a lawn sprinkler, and other machines. His best known invention was a cup that fed lubricating oil to machines, bearing through a small bore tube. In 1916, McCoy created the graphite lubricator, which allowed new superheater trains and devices to be oiled. In 1920, Elijah McCoy established Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company. Machinists and engineers who wanted genuine McCoy lubrication might have used the expression the real McCoy. So you want the real McCoy? That means you want the real thing, what you know to be of the highest quality, not an inferior imitation. McCoy left behind a legacy of successful invention, which would benefit mankind for another century, and his name would come to symbolize quality workmanship, the real McCoy. There is Granville T. Woods, the inventor of the incubator, was an African-American inventor and the first African-American to be a mechanical and civil engineer. He invented the incubator, the multiplex telegraph, the telegraphony, and he was really very skillful. Woods was born in Columbus, Ohio, in 1856 to a Native American mother and an African-American father. He eventually started his own business as an electrical engineer in Cincinnati, Ohio. Here he designed and manufactured and sold electrical equipment. It was during this period that he began his career as an inventor. His first patent was for a steam boiler furnace, to which he had made several improvements. The telephone was a combination of a telephone and a telegraph, which allowed telegraph stations to send voice as well as telegraph messages, all in a single wire. It is strange that he is referred to as the Black Edison, and it was Edison who tried to steal his work. Lewis Latimer, inventor of the light bulb and the development of the telephone. Lewis Latimer is considered one of the 10 most important Black inventors of all time. Latimer is most known for his invention of the carbon filament light bulb. In 1881, he supervised the installation of the electric lights in New York, Philadelphia, Montreal, and London. He drafted the patient drawings for Alexander Bell's patent application for the telephone. It was Latimer's drawing that made it possible for Alexander Graham Bell to win the patent rights to the telephone. Lewis Latimer was a man of many interests. He was an inventor, draftsman, engineer, author, poet, musician, a devoted family man. He married Mary Wilson in 1873, December 1873. Lewis wrote a poem for his wedding entitled Ebon Venus that was published in his book of poetry, Poems of Love and Life. And the Latimers had 2 children. So you see the man who was responsible for the telephone and the light bulb. Garrett A. Morgan, inventor of the traffic light and the gas mask. I'm sorry. Inventor of both the traffic signal and the gas mask. Many of the world's famous inventors only produced one major invention that gained recognition and cemented their prominent status. Garrett Morgan was one of America's most successful African-American inventors. Born in the last quarter of the 19th century to former slaves, Garrett Morgan was only formally educated to a 6th grade level. Fortunately, like many great inventors, Morgan had a mechanical mind, an innate mechanical mind, that enabled him to solve problems. And unlike most other inventors, he had good business sense. He also had a strong work ethics, which led him to almost immediate success. He invented and patented the first chemical hair straightener, started his own sewing equipment repair business, and established a newspaper, the Cleveland Call. George Crew, the inventor of the potato chips. I just thought he was good to talk about because of what happened. Every time a person crunches into a potato chip, he or she is enjoying the delicious taste of one of the world's most famous snacks, a treat that might not exist without the contribution of Black inventor George Crumb. The son of an African-American father and a Native American mother, Crumb was working as a chef in the summer of 1853 when he incidentally invented the chip. It all began when a patron who ordered a plate of French fried potatoes sent them back to Crumb's kitchen because he felt that they were thick and soft. To teach the picky patron a lesson, Crumb sliced a new batch of potatoes as thin as he possibly could and then fried them until they were hard and crunchy. Finally, to top them off, he added a generous heaping of salt. To Crumb's surprise, the dish ended up being a hit with the patron, and a new snack was born. So from the more sophisticated to the quite straightforward and simple. Now we go to Dr. Charles Drew, the blood bank inventor. It is impossible to determine how many hundreds of thousands of people would have lost their lives without the contribution of African-American inventor Dr. Charles Drew. This physician, researcher, and surgeon revolutionized the understanding of blood plasma, leading to the invention of blood banks. Born in 1904 in Washington, Dr. Charles Drew excelled from early on in both intellectual and athletics pursuit. After becoming a doctor and working as a college instructor, Drew went to Columbia University to do his PhD on blood storage. He completed a thesis titled Banked Blood and invented a method of separating and storing plasma, allowing it to dehydrate for later use. It was the first time Columbia awarded a doctorate to an African American. I'm going to mention some ladies to you, and you will know that Mary Winston Jackson, a mathematics and aerospace engineer, right? African American again, and she worked at first at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which in 1956 was succeeded by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which you know as NASA. She worked at the Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia for most of her career. She started as a computer operator at the segregated West Area Computation Division. She took advanced engineering classes and in 1958 became NASA's first Black female engineer. After 34 years at NASA, Jackson had earned the most senior engineering title available. She realized she could not earn further promotion without becoming a supervisor. She accepted the demotion to become a manager of both the Federal Women's Program in the NASA Office of Equal Opportunity Program and the Affirmation Action Program. In this role, she worked to influence both the hiring and promotion of women in NASA's science, engineering, and mathematics career. Katherine Johnson, another African-American mathematician who made contribution to the United States aeronautics and space programs with the early application of digital electronic computers at NASA. Known for accuracy in computerized stellation navigation, she conducted technical work at NASA that spanned decades. During this time, she calculated the launch windows and the emergency backup return paths for many flights from Project Mercury, including the early NASA mission of John Glenn and Alan Shepard, and the 1969 Apollo 11 flight to the moon through the Space Shuttle program. Her calculations were critical to the success of these missions. Johnson also performed calculation for the plans for mission to Mars. In 2015, She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She was included in the BBC series 100 Women the following year. There she is. The next lady is Dorothy Vaughan, mathematician in aeronautics. Another African-American mathematician and human computer who worked for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which later became NASA, at the same center, the Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. In 1949, she became acting supervisor of the West Air Computers, the first African-American woman to supervise a group of staff at the center. She was promoted officially to this position. During her 28-year career, Vaughan prepared for the introduction of machine computers in the early 1960s by teaching herself and her staff the program language of Fortran. She later headed the program section of the analysis and computation of division at Langley. She became a Fortran programmer. Jackson, Johnson, and Vaughan are the three African-American women NASA mathematicians who worked closely together on the launch of the astronaut John Glenn into orbit. It was their work that was instrumental in bringing back confidence to American space program. Despite their contribution, they had to work under segregated conditions. If it wasn't for these three ladies, America might not have got on the moon. But despite that, because they were Black, they were segregated against. The law in America segregated West Area Computing Unit when they were required to use separate dining and resting facilities. A lot of you will be familiar with the film Hidden Figures. It says the story of the African-American woman who helped win the space race. It was adapted as a biographical film of the same time and also released in 2016. Many of you would have heard about the film and many of you would have seen it. So remember, these three ladies were very instrumental in bringing about the successful of America landing on the moon. Just want to go back to them again so that you remember them quickly. Right, Jackson, sorry, oh. Jackson, Johnson, and Vaughan. Right. We're now to Dr. Mark Dean. Is an American inventor and computer engineer. He was instrumental in the invention of the personal computer. Dean was part of the team that developed the industry standard architecture, the ISA system bus. This was a new system that allowed peripheral devices like disk drives, printers, and monitors to be plugged directly into computers. The end result was more efficiency and better integration. His groundbreaking work didn't stop there. Dean's research at IBM helped change the accessibility and power of the personal computer. His work led to the development of the color PC monitor, and in 1999, Dean led a team of engineers at IBM's Austin, Texas lab to create the first gigahertz chip, a revolutionary piece of technology that is able to do 1 billion calculations a second. A lot of kids growing up today aren't told that you can be whatever you want to be, Dina said. There may be obstacles, but there are no limits. Personal computer. Now we go on to who we call Dr. Eligwali, inventor of the super fast computer. He's a Nigerian. He went to America at the age of 17 years to continue his education. He invented the world's fastest computer, as I said, the connection machine, and has been called the Bill Gates of Africa. The noted Black inventor received acclaim based, at least in part, on his study of nature, specifically bees. Emeagwali saw an inherent efficiency in the way bees construct and work with honeycomb, and determined computers that emulate this process could be the most efficient, and powerful. So he observed them and picked up ideas from the bees. In 1989, emulating the bees' honeycomb construction, Emeagwali used 65,000 processors to invent the world's fastest computer, which performs computation at 3.1 billion calculations per second. 3.1 billion calculations per second. Iliga has achieved many things, including ways of making oil fields more productive, which results in the United States saving hundreds of millions of dollars each year. As one of the most famous African-American inventors of the 20th century, he's also won the Gordon Bell Invention of the 20th century. He's also, and the Nobel Prize for Computation. His computers are currently being used to forecast the weather and to predict the likelihood and effect of future global warming. There's a dispute at the moment over whether Dr. Philip Emeagwali invented the internet. He claims that he did. His IQ is 190, which makes him one of the top people with the highest IQ in the world. He's saying that he did. People are disputing whether he actually was able to do that, whether or not he invented the internet, but he claims that he did. George Carruthers, and you can see his picture here, the inventor of the image astrophysicist, an inventor, an image converter for detecting far ultraviolet electromagnetic radiation, and the far ultraviolet camera spectrograph, which was used on Apollo 16 mission. Over 200 images of Earth's atmosphere, the Milky Way, and the deep space were collected from this groundbreaking lunar observatory. The instrument was also the first to detect molecular hydrogen, colorless, odorless, and tasteless gas molecule with pure water solubility. Carruthers also invented a camera used by the NASA Space Shuttle. In the 1980s, Dr. Carruthers spearheaded a program allowing high school students to spend a summer working with scientists at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory Science and Engineering Apprentice Program. He received the National Medal of Technology and Innovation from President Barack Obama on the 2012, receiving the Walker Award on October 28, 2017, during the ASP's annual award gala in Burlingame, California. Image. And we go back now to, Dr. Henry Simpson, the inventor of the gamma electric cell. Dr. Henry Simpson is the first African-American to receive a PhD in nuclear engineering. In 1971, Simpson was awarded a patent for the gamma electric cell. The gamma electric cell is the technology now used in the cellular phone. It must be pointed out, he did not invent the mobile phone as it was previously thought. He is, however, a pioneer in the technology which made it possible to have portable cell phones. Portable cell phones are possible due to his invention of the gamma electric cell, which uses radio waves to transmit and to receive audio signals. The gamma electric cell pertains to nuclear reactor use. According to Dr. Simpson, the gamma electric cell, painted in July 6, 1971, produced stable high voltage output, current to detect radiation in the ground. He was awarded a patent with George Miley. Sampson worked as a research chemical engineer at the U.S. Naval Weapons Center, China Lake, California, from 1956 to 1961. He then moved on to the Aerospace Corps in California. His titles include Project Manager from 1967 to 81, Director of Planning and Operation, Director of Space Test Program, 1981, and co-inventor of gamma electric cells. He holds patent related to solid rocks monitors, conversion of nuclear energy into electricity. He also pioneered a study of internal ballistic of solid rocks, rocket motors using high-speed photography. He was also a producer of documentary films on early Black filmmakers and films, a member of the board of directors of Los Angeles Southwest College Foundation, and a technical consultant to historical Black colleges and university programs. Dr. Mae Jemison. She was born in 1956, is an American engineer, physician, NASA astronaut. She became the first African-American woman to travel in space when she went into orbit, the Space Shuttle Endeavour, on September 12, 1992. In completing her first space flight, Jemison lodged the time she spent in space as 190 hours, 30 minutes and 23 seconds. And I said that, she's a trained medical doctor. After medical school and a brief general practice, Jemison served in the Peace Corps from 1985 until 1987, when she was selected by NASA to join the astronaut corps. She resigned from NASA in 1993 to fund a company researching the application of technology to daily life. She has appeared on television several times, including as an actress in an episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation. She's a dancer and holds 9 honorary doctorates in science, engineering, letters, and the humanities. She is the current principal of the 100-Year Starship Organization project. This lady, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, a theoretical physicist and a famous Black inventor. Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, born in 1946 in Washington, D.C., has achieved numerous firsts for African-American women. She was the first Black woman to earn a PhD from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, to receive a PhD in theoretical solid-state physics, to be elected president and then chairman of the board of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, to be president of a major research university, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in New York, and to be elected to the National Academy of Engineering. Jackson was also both the first African-American and the first woman to chair the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. She conducted breakthrough scientific research that enabled others to invent the portable fax, the touch-tone telephone, solar cells, fiber optic cables, and the technology behind caller ID and call waiting. Dr. Patricia Bath, ophthalmologist and inventor of the Lacos probe, which is used for removing cataract in laser eye surgery. As a ophthalmologist and famous Black inventor, Dr. Patricia Bath has dedicated her life to the treatment and prevention of visual impairment. Her personal belief that everyone has the right to sight led to her invention in 1981 of a specialized tool and procedure for the removal of cataracts. With the laser Farco probe and procedure, this is highly accurate laser technology. Dr. Bath increased the accuracy and results of cataract surgery, which had previously been performed manually with the mechanical grinder. With the laser Farco probe invention and the development of the procedure for its use, Dr. Bath helped restore the sight of several people who had been blind by cataracts for up to 30 years. Imagine the joy they felt when they opened their eyes to see Dr. Patricia Bath's smiling face for the first time. Valerie Thomas. From 1964 to 1995, Thomas worked in a variety of capacities for NASA, where she developed real-time computer data system, conducted large-scale experiments, and managed various operation projects and facilities. While managing a project for NASA's image processing system, Thomas' team spearheaded the development of the Landsat, the first satellite to send images from space. In 1976, Thomas learned how concave mirrors can be set up to create the illusion of a three-dimensional object. She believed this would be revolutionary if technology could be harnessed to transmit this illusion. With an eye to the future, Valerie Thomas began experimenting on an illusion transmitter in 1977. In 1980, she patented. In operation, concave mirrors are set up on both ends of the transmission. The net effect of this was an optical illusion of a three-dimensional image that looks real at the receiving end. This brilliant innovation placed Thomas among the most prominent Black inventors of the 20th century. Dr. Gladys West, the inventor of GPS technology, Global Positioning System Technology. Gladys West, Nee Brown, she was born 27th of October 1938 in Sutherland, Virginia. She is an American mathematician known for her work contributing to the development of the global positioning system, and she is responsible for the invention of the navigational devices and software like Google Maps. She was born to parents who owned a farm, sharecroppers, and growing up, when not in school, she spent much of her time helping to harvest the family, but she was determined that she wanted to do something better with her life. And at school, her ability showed when she became a valedictorian of her high school graduating class, and she received a full college scholarship to Victoria College, which is now Victoria University. In 1956, Gladys was hired as a mathematician by the U.S. Naval Proving Ground, a weaponry laboratory in Dahlgren, Virginia, as only their fourth Black employee. There she met her husband, Ira West, another Black mathematician on the base, and they married and had 2 children. One of her first major projects was on the Naval Ordnance Research Calculator, an award-winning program designed hours of computer calculation, which often had to be double-checked for errors by hand to determine the movement of Pluto in relation to Neptune. In 1978, West was named project manager of CSAT, an experimental U.S. ocean surveillance satellite designed to provide data on a wide range of oceanographic conditions and features, including wave height, water, currents, wind, iceberg, and coastal characteristics. It was the first project to demonstrate that satellites could be used to observe useful oceanic data. Out of West's work on CSAT came GeoSat, a satellite program to create computer models of the Earth's surface. By teaching a computer to account for gravity, tides, and other forces that act on the Earth's surface, West and her team created a program that could precisely calculate the orbits of satellites. These calculations made it possible to determine a model for the exact shape of the Earth, called GEO. It is this model and later updates that allow the GPS system to make accurate calculation of any place on Earth. Can you imagine, after all that she did, she still went on and did studies, and she retired from the business at age 68. She continued education after recovering from a stroke. She received a PhD in public administration and policy affairs from Virginia Polytechnic Institute in 2000 at the age of 70. Sorry, I thought I'd put her up on the screen. That is Gladys, Dr. Gladys West. Very brilliant lady indeed. Now, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, the first Black cardiologist. Dr. Daniel Williams, a Black surgeon, is best known for performing the first successful American open heart surgery on Sunday, the 9th of July, 1893. Dr. Daniel Williams completed the operation on a young man named James Cornish. He had been rushed to Providence Hospital in Chicago, the first non-segregated hospital that Dr. Williams had founded and one of the few hospitals that welcome African Americans. This young man had a stab wound. Williams repaired the wound with the use of sutures. After he graduated from Northern in 1883, he opened his own medical office in Chicago, Illinois. He founded the Providence Hospital, the first non-segregated hospital in the USA, in Chicago in 1891. In 1893, during the administration of President Grover Cleveland, Williams was appointed surgeon-in-chief of Freeman's Hospital in Washington, D.C. In addition to organizing the hospital, William also established a training school for African-American nurses at the faculty. I'm just conscious of time, so I'm moving on. A lot of you will know this name, Dr. Ben Carson. He's a world-leading neurosurgeon, performed the operation that successfully separated conjoined twins. Benjamin Solomon Carson was born in 1951, a neurosurgeon, author, and politician, and he was the 7th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under the Trump administration. That was when Trump was first in office in 2017. Prior to his cabinet position, he was a candidate for the President of the United States in the Republican primaries in 2016. Born in Detroit and a graduate of Yale University and the University of Michigan Medical School, Carson has authored numerous books on his medical career and political stance position. He was the director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Maryland in 1984 until his retirement in 2013. As a pioneer in neurosurgery, Carson's achievements include performing the only successful separation of the conjoined twins that I mentioned at the back of the head and pioneering the first successful neurosurgical procedure on a fetus inside the womb. He became the youngest chief of the pediatric neurosurgery in the country at the age 33. In 2008, he was bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States. He is an Adventist and wrote the autobiographical book, Gifted Hands. Moving on now. Professor Charles Saleh is a Ugandan medical doctor and researcher in both Western and traditional herbal medicine. He's a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in London. After 10 years of scientific research, Professor Saleh has developed natural nutritional supplements for building the body immune system. These natural nutritional supplements have been developed under the name Meridana, which is a treatment for HIV and other immune deficiency problems. I'm just cutting a bit. Dr. Samantha Ross, consultant orthopedic surgeon. She was born in Georgetown in 1968. She's the first female British consultant orthopedic surgeon of African ancestry. She has been recognized in various lists of successful Britons. Truss completed her education at private schools in Britain and then at Matthew Bolton College in Birmingham. She excelled at sport, becoming the British national long jump champion for her age, and she passed A-levels in applied mathematics, chemistry, and biology. She took medicine at University College London, where she decided to become a surgeon. This was an unusual course for a British woman because only 11% of consultant surgeons in Britain are female. There she is there in her gown there. That's Dr. Samantha Ross. Ursula Burns, CEO, President of Xerox Corporation in 2017, and was instrumental in the development of the multifunctional digital photocopier. She was the first African-American to serve as a CEO. She was born in 1958 and raised in a low-income housing project in Manhattan's Lower East Side. She was the second of 3 children raised by a single mother who operated a home day care surgery and took ironing and cleaning jobs to earn money to pay for Burns to attend Cathedral High School, a Roman Catholic preparatory school. Excelling in mathematics, Burns later earned a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in 1980 from the Polytechnic Institute of New York University in Brooklyn. In the same year, she began pursuing a master's degree in mechanical engineering from Columbia University and joined Xerox as a so as a summer mechanical engineer intern through the company's graduate engineering program for minorities, which in turn paid a portion of her educational expenses. In 2009, the US President Barack Obama selected Burns to help lead the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, which you know as STEM, Education Coalition, a national alliance of more than 1,000 technological organizations striving to improve student participation and performance in the aforementioned subject areas through legislative advocacy. The Verna Wilkins, Grenadian born, founded a small independent publisher, Tambourine Books, in 1987, specializing in picture books, fiction and non-fiction for children. This came about because of an experience with her 5-year-old son. He came home from school with a This Is Me booklet in which he had colored himself pink. When she offered him a brown crayon to use instead, he refused, saying that the image he had drawn of himself had to have pink skin because it was for a book. When she researched the matter further, she arrived at the conclusion that her child and other children from the ethnic minorities were so underrepresented in children's books that they were being denied an important stage in their learning. So she decided to start publishing books to meet that need. For 20 years, Verna Wilkins ran Tambourine Books from her home, writing many of the books herself, working with the support of her family and a small group of friends and freelancers. Two of the best-known titles are The Life of Stephen Lawrence, which was done in 2001, and Dave, the Tooth Fairy, featuring a black tooth fairy. Tambourine Books also specialize in biographies of Black role models in the Black Star series, which include biographies of Mallory Blackman, Benjamin Zephaniah, Rudolph Walker, Baroness Scotland, David Grant, and Samantha Trott. In 2007, Tambourine Books was acquired by Random House Group Limited and became an imprint of Random House Children's Book UK. In 2008, Tambourine Books was awarded the Isabel Cultural Diversity Award in the British Book Awards. And we're going now on to Marlon James, Jamaican-born Marlon James. A Brief History of 7 Killings, won the Man Booker Prize in 2015. A Brief History of 7 Killings explored several decades of Jamaican history and political instability to the perspective of many narrators. It won the fiction category of the 2015 OCM Bocas Prize for Caribbean Literature and the 2015 Man Booker Prize for Fiction, having been the first book by a Jamaican author ever to be shortlisted. And he was the second Caribbean winner of the prize. Marlon has published 2 other books, John Crow's Devil and The Book of Night Woman. He now lives in Minneapolis. James teaches English literature, creative writing at Lancaster College at St. Paul, Minnesota. James was born in Kingston, Jamaica, to parents who were both in the Jamaican police force. His mother, who gave him his first prose book, a collection of stories by O. Henry, became a detective, and his father, from whom James took a love of Shakespeare and Coleridge, a lawyer. James is a 1991 graduate of the University of the West Indies, where he read language and literature. He received a master's degree in creative writing from Wilkes University in 2006. Sorry, I didn't put his picture up. There he is. The second Black man to win the grant was Paul Beatty. Born in 1962, is an African-American author and an associate professor of writing at Columbia University. In 2016, he won the National Book Critics Circle Award and the Bookerman Prize for his novel, The Sellout. It was the first time a writer from the United States was honored with the Man Booker Prize. The Sellout was also awarded the 2050 National Book Critics Circle Award for fiction. He has written both fiction and poetry books and have won numerous awards. There he goes. Sorry. I'm coming now. I got Our People Are Great Achievers and Inventors. It was a Black man, Paul E. Williams, who invented the helicopter in 1907. Emmett McHenry, that created a complex computer code where ordinary people like you and I can surf the web without us studying computer science. He created what we know today as .com. Jesse Eugene Russell invented the digital cell phone, and Dr. Joseph N. Jackson invented the remote control. I could go on, but I just want to say, as a people, we are achieving and inventing. We're still achieving and inventing. And I want to bring to you this young man, Tony Anyberry II. Tony used failure as an inspiration. After he did not get a place in the 8th grade science fair, Tony interned at Shands Hospital and developed a method of reducing the amount of time it takes to perform hysterectomies and potentially reducing the risk of complication after the procedure. He was honored for his contribution. At the age of 14 years, Tony Hansbury II developed a stitching technique that can be used to reduce surgical complication, as well as the chance of error among less experienced surgeons. He said the project he did at the University of Florida that enabled him to invent the stitching technique, which was basically to reduce surgical complication by using a laparoscopy instrument in carrying out hysterectomy repair. And finally, before I finish, I've lost my notes. I just want to bring to you Britain's brainiest family. This is when they were younger. They're older now. The Famadou family. University of Cambridge Advanced Mathematics A-level exam was passed at the age of 9 by Samantha Ifamadou. The twin, Pete and Paula, broke her record and passed the examination at the age 6 years. Anne-Marie, the older sibling, was the youngest to pass A-level computing at the age of 13. So we are able, we are capable. I just want to finish up with Marcus Garvey for a specific reason. I left him here and I felt he had to come in at the beginning because Marcus Garvey, he had confidence in his people. He said, but he's Jamaican national hero, and he said, "We were great once, and we will be great again. We were great once, and we will be great again." I wanted to end up with him because it's nice if Black people could hear that and keep it in their mind and share it with their children over and over again. And just for information, recently, I don't know if people have heard Joe Biden, recently, right? Was mostly after a person that, right? Pardoned Marcus Garvey because he was accused of mail fraud. And, he was very influential to people like Malcolm X and other civil rights leaders and was convicted of mail fraud in 1920s. And, so it was very, very sad what he did. But the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. said of Garvey, he was the first man on a mass scale and level to give millions of Black people a sense of dignity and destiny. Despite the attempts to conceal the truth contribution that people of African descent have made to human development and improvement, the truth is gradually coming to light. We are a very talented race of people. The trouble is, we do not appreciate ourselves. We forget that God has given each of us talents and abilities. We must remember at all times that what we are is God's gift to us, and what we make of ourselves is our gift to God. I trust and hope that you benefit from this presentation about the achievements and invention of some of our people of color. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexis.
I tried to get through so much.
Yes, well, you got through a lot. It's an awesome, comprehensive body of information. We have to think about how we get that through to our listeners, because it would have been difficult for them to take notes of all of that. So
Yes,
I will have to talk with you as whether how we can get your PowerPoint presentation to those who may want to have it. Or secondly, we may have to look at how we can publish your notes, if you're inclined to do that, in a small booklet, so that folks can have it, because it would have been difficult for those who fallen here tonight to make notes of everything. It's been very comprehensive, but it's very educational. Thank you so much for enlightening us on these inventions and inventors, and
achievement.
and who have made great achievements in their lives for our community and for Black people per se.
I just hope it comes over. Sorry to cut you, but I just hope it comes over.
Came over okay. Don't
that we are very talented in so many different areas.
Yes, you don't have to have an inquest. It's been all right. Yes, thank you. So, we'll have a little break here. I mean, and questions can be asked in a moment. I don't know if I can get this. I had a song to play, but I don't know if I can get it up. I'll see if I can. To play for you. It might be difficult.
So, sorry, Elder Davidson, whilst you're about to play the song, I think there's a couple of hands up.
Okay, I will take them, because I don't think I can pick up the item I want to play. So
probably if you tell me the title of the song and
Deep River.
Okay.
By Paul Robeson. I looked at it, but I can't pick it up here now.
Okay.
But let me take the hands then, and let me get back to our screen there for those who want to comment and ask questions. Okay. So you can help me with those who want to. I haven't seen the hands yet. Andrew, have you seen the hands of those who want to speak?
Yes, you've got Marlene and Dennis Heath.
Okay. We take Marlene first, and then Dr. Dennis Heath. Marlene, can you speak to us?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I've got two devices on because I'm in two rooms. Hold on 1 minute.
Are you there? If not, I'll take Dr. Dennis Heath, and you'll come back to us.
Is that okay now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. What I wanted to say is she mentioned at the end about Marcus Garvey, but what I read, it was a trumped-up charge about fraud on him. It wasn't exactly fraud that he did, but to stop him accomplishing what he was trying to do, they found a way somehow, as per usual, to trump up a charge on him, and, to stop the progress of what he was doing. And so they probably should do an investigation again about the charges, because he didn't actually do fraud. It was what was created, which is they're good at doing. So I wanted to say that. And I'm pretty sure there's even more inventions that we've created, but because, of racism and enslavement, we weren't given the credit, because they take a lot of the credit for a number of things that we have, we came up with. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. And okay, the Johnny Walker whiskey, I think it was that whiskey. It was an actual slave that invented that. So she missed out on that one. And that's the comment I'd like to make. Thank you.
Can I just say, can I come back to you?
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to you that he was accused of mail fraud. I didn't say he was guilty of it.
Okay.
And and I was saying that President Biden pardoned him.
I read that, yeah.
Whether that's right or not, but I didn't say he committed fraud. They accuse
No, yeah.
Wait a minute, let me just finish. They accuse us of doing a lot of things that we haven't done.
Absolutely.
And they get away with it. Yes.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to highlight that. I'm not,
I was just saying they accused him of that.
Yeah,
and because he was influential in influencing Malcolm X, if you heard what I said. And they were annoyed about
yeah. I'm not saying
let me just finish. Yeah, I'm just gonna answer your question. You said about the inventions, right? This is remember when I started, so I said 85% of the things invented have been invented by people of color. This is only a taste of the iceberg.
And I'm glad you did it. Yes. Let
me just, at the end, I made the point about people forget it was a black man who invented the helicopter. I talked about the man who allowed us to be able to go on the web, that he brought about the .com rather than a star in computer science, right? I spoke about the man who invented the digital telephone, just briefly, and about the remote control. There's so much that we as a people have done and invented, but we haven't been given credit for. This is nowhere near.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm not criticizing what you said.
Yes,
I was just highlighting some things I picked up that other people might not be aware of, to make it more clearer. That's all I was saying. But you did a great job. But thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is complementary to what
absolutely
Dr. June has presented.
Absolutely. I was just
underscoring one or two key points. So it was not adding anything or being critical.
Absolutely.
I was just explaining about the invention, especially. We've invented so many things. This is just a touch of it, actually.
Yes. Well, as I said earlier on, it's a bit comprehensive and a kind of awesome body of information, which is hard to fully digest in one go. But I'm speaking to you and to say that we may have to share the presentation so folks can digest it some more, or we can look at a publication built around your presentation that people can have, so that it will not just be a presentation and then it's lost, and people only would say, well, it was a good presentation, but they have it to be a reference and to share with their children and others, for them to learn about these people that we studied about tonight. So that conversation we can have as to how we make it more accessible to those who listened here tonight, and those who weren't on the platform here, who could benefit from your presentation. It's been a wonderful presentation. I think there was another hand, Andrew.
Yeah, Dr. Dennis.
Dr. Dennis Heath. Where are you, Dennis?
Yes, good afternoon to all those on this platform. I'm speaking to you from the outpost here in California, USA.
Yes.
I needed to be reminded of my great ancestry. I did not have the time to do the research myself, so thank you, Dr. Alexis, for your presentation. It reads like an introduction to the Black who is who in America and the world. I know that there are many detractors of all things Black here in many areas of predominantly white-led American government and organization. So I put a question to you. Why do you think that DEI, and that is diversity, equity, and inclusion, is now a pejorative term in the United States? And how is it seen in the United Kingdom?
Oh, I don't know where this.
Are you there, Sister
Yes.
Dr. June?
Yeah. Can I say in very, I think that the way Black people have been treated, we have not really always helped ourselves to make things better as a people, I think. We tend to spend more time trying to argue and destroy each other rather than trying to work together to get back our position on stage. And that's why I put in Marcus Garvey at the end, because he mentioned that we were great once and we'd be great again. And I think that a lot of us as a people still do not appreciate us. And even when Black people achieve, some Blacks don't even want to believe that they've achieved, or they resist it. So we have to start, I feel, that we need to work on ourselves and our young people to value us far more, to value each other more, and try and eradicate the negativity that the Caucasian, the white man, tries to push to make us feel that we're inferior and we're less of something. We have to try and find ways that we can appreciate ourselves, our Blackness, the way we look, and not because we are creatures of God, we are created by God. So I think we have to start working on ourselves. That's what I think. I hope I've answered your question.
Well, thank you. I think you've perhaps skirted around the major point. The major point being, why is it that there are so many areas where you're getting major organizations and government issues using diversity and inclusion and equity for Black folks? They're using that as a pejorative term. In other words, any Black folks who have dared to move up the chain of command is seen as not being qualified, but being included because of their color. In spite of what you have just explained to us, how many Blacks have been instrumental in the achievement and the developments that has taken place in the world to date?
They don't want to give us recognition at all. They make every effort. Because one of the people I spoke about, Edison, do you remember when I said the person about Edison?
Yes.
He was copying the man's work and he got the benefit. The chap, even with the telephone, Alexander Bell Real must know that it wasn't he who actually invented the telephone. He must have known the Black man who invented the telephone. But they still go ahead and take the credit for it. We don't seem to be able to have the strength or the power to stand up for ourselves as a people. And we don't come together. The one thing that gave me some sort of courage was when Akuan and 11 other Black men came together to try to get rid of slavery. And not many people know about this. To me, that was an issue that shows that there were Black people who were willing to come together and work together. And I'm saying the problem is us not wanting to work and with each other. We are not united as a race. And I think I think the problem, we need to be more united as a race and not to be so separated, because we're doing exactly what the Caucasian, what the white man wants us to be, to separate, to make, to try to separate ourselves from each other and dislike each other.
Can I come in
Clive,
on this question?
Clive, yes, Clive.
Okay. I think it's a great question that Dr. Heath has asked. I'm somebody who has spent many years working in the field of the ENI. Of course, I've got a sense of what I think the issues are. I don't think they're so different between the US and here, in the sense that I believe what we've got, we're faced by a systemic issue, which started from way back during the period of slavery, and whether you're, and that created through various movements, a sort of amongst us, a bit of a them and us kind of situation. So that the organization that I chair, our motto is together we can achieve. And actually, it's a recognition of a challenge that actually, if we don't actually come together, then we're not going to make that transition that we need to make as a community. But actually, we face a system that's designed to prevent that from happening. Because actually, when you look at the things that go on, I mean, I think you'll see that we're, rather than actually coming together and fighting the real enemy, we actually will be tending to look at fighting each other. I've talked about this concept that I relate to pull up and push up, as opposed to but the opposite of that, which is where we tend to pull each other down and actually kind of not attempt to support each other. So what we do need to do, and I think Dr. Alexis is right, and I think what she's alluding to exactly this, that actually until we recognize that we are the people who have achieved, that we have invented, and that actually we've done that despite the adversities that we faced, and that we are going to be able to achieve so much more by coming together. We've got some real challenges, but the system is not designed to promote that, and our people's their eyes, too many eyes that are closed to recognizing what we need to do. That's what I'd say.
Yes.
If
Okay.
I may make one comment back on
I
that.
saw another hand, Char LP. I'm not too sure who is that, but it's gone. All right, let me before we go on.
May I make one comment on that?
Yes, Dr. Heath, please.
In order for us to come together, we still have to learn and have our history. Here in the United States, we have thousands, or should I say many states are actually legislating that you do not teach Black history. So how will we come together if we are not being taught? And the unfortunate thing about it is that because we are not in a position to make the rules, we are being governed by their rules. And when we rise up and ask the question, we are summarily dismissed and told you are where you are because of the goodness and the kindness of our hearts. And if we do not intend for you to make any progress, we will simply turn you down. So hence, DEI is now a pejorative word here in the United States to many.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Dr. Heath. Let me just read this comment from Sister Stacy, and it's one that broadens the context of what we're dealing with in our world today. And I'm quite sure you will appreciate this. It is not saying that we shouldn't be striving to change things, but to understand the context in which we operate in. She says that as long as sin exists in the world, there will always be inequality, unfairness, racism, which are some of the innumerable ways that sin rears its ugly head. Only when Christ returns to this earth again and eliminates sin in all its form will equality be re-established. And so the key phrase there, it will be re-established. So equality is something that was created, but sin damaged that, according to Sister Stacey Ann. No, I'm going to pause here.
Dr. Davidson?
Yes.
I think it would be good to pick up some comments just above as well, because there's one question that was raised. So if we could just quickly go through. S says, brilliant presentation. Well done, Dr. Alexis. D
Yes.
says, does Dr. Alexis have any contact details? S, we sure are. Very good presentation from SS. And
yes.
Samsung 100%. And then Paulette also made a comment there, says, thanks, Dr. Alexis, for your very informative presentation. It's important for us as Black people to be aware of the contributions we have made to society, to expose the hidden history.
Yes. Okay. So, can we? I'm going to put in the chat. Dr. Alexis, can you put in the chat your email address so that they can contact you? Or while you're doing that, I'm going to ask Andrew. Did you find a song?
I found it, but I think Clive has his hand up.
Yes. Okay. I'll take Clive, and then we have that song.
Yeah.
Just
is the song by Marian Anderson? Is that the one?
Did you get Paul Robeson?
No, Andre, it's Paul Robeson.
Oh, Paul Robeson. Okay. Yep, we'll find it.
Okay. Clive?
It's only brief, Paul. I'm afraid I don't entirely agree with Stacey Ann's observation, because it seems to go back to this idea that until the Lord comes, then we can't do anything about our situation. And to me, that's not a satisfactory proposition. I think we have to seek to do what we can in this world to improve our conditions. Yes, we're never going to get perfection, but actually the level of iniquity that we face is not acceptable in this world. And I don't think we should be waiting for the next world in order to establish that. That's all I would say.
Thank you for that. As I explained just now, knowing Sister Stacey Ann, I don't think she's saying we should wait, but she was trying to broaden the context of what I put it another way. She's emphasizing the real cause for inequality and so forth. But your point also, Clive, is well taken, that we have to be seen to be doing something. It doesn't matter, whether the real cause is something that is very difficult. But same with our children. We know that they're in a world of sin and so forth, but we're going to try to do everything to make sure that they are able to navigate the system so that they're not left to drown within the system. So we're all together. I think we're all together on this. So let's hold together. One is saying the real cause, and as you're saying, Clive, we have to do something. They are saying something that are supportive to each other. Now, Andrew, any luck?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, thank you. Just to have a little break. Actually, well done. That was the one I had. Thank you, beautiful. And then Elder, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Davidson.
I'm going to ask you to play it again. I'm in touch by this song, and I'm sure many of you wouldn't mind me asking for it to be repeated. And also, I think when we started, you raised the volume for us, so that was very good. Just one more time. And I won't keep you long, only 10 minutes we have left, and I will close off soon. A great voice. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Let me just share my screen here now. We won't be too long.
I don't know if you want to, whilst you're sharing your screen.
I want to share my screen. Yes, I want to.
Marlene has a hand up.
Who's that?
Marlene Walker.
Okay, Marlene, go ahead. Go ahead, Marlene. Is she there?
I'm trying to unmute. I've just unmute. Oh dear, what was I going to say? Yeah. I just wanted to say that I agreed with, I think it was Dennis that spoke, that said in America, they're stopping the colleges and the schools from not teaching their Black history or the world history, really, but to people worldwide, Black people and white people. They've shut colleges down. There's a college here. I can't remember the guy's name. I can see his face now. And he had a university going where he was teaching Black history, had a lot of people coming, learning, and out of the blue, they decided, no, it can't continue, and they shut it down. And, there was a protest to get it up and running again. It's gone quiet. And like you said, we haven't got the support or the strength or whatever it takes to stand up, to be able to move forward. And without our history, like Marcus Garvey said, a man without a history is like a tree without its roots. And that's what we're lacking. Because if we knew the things we know now in the 60s, how much further we would be. But, those knowledge, if you were to know the sort of things we know now, we would be accused of all kinds of things. So lacking our knowledge and our history, I think a lot of things. Because we've been given Eurocentric values, Eurocentric way of thinking. So there are those who are very Afrocentric and there are those who are very Eurocentric. So those are the type of problem we're dealing with to even know ourselves. And Afrocentric people do, to move forward, even though some people are Afrocentric.
We're losing you there a little bit.
You've got the point, what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah. So things have been done deliberately to hold us back. In a nutshell, because if you're not able to learn your history, you cannot pass it on. Because if you are a parent, how can you teach your children what you don't know? You would teach them European values because that's what you know. Like you say, a lot of us, I'm fortunate because I make myself knowledgeable of these things, but there's loads of people that haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
So we've got to, when we try to do it mainstream, it gets shut down.
Okay, thank you, Marlene. We have about 5 minutes left. I want to first again thank Dr. June Alexis for this wonderful, awesome, comprehensive body of information. Very informative. A lot of work went into that, and we can't pay her for that. We just want to thank you so much. And as I said, we want the message that you left with us here tonight that we can be able to access it for those who may want to follow up this presentation. So I will talk to you further on how we can do that. In the remaining few minutes here, I just want to say that the other part of our presentation we can't do that tonight. We wouldn't have enough time. So I'm just giving you a taste of it. It's about the great empires that people don't know about, great empires in Africa. We only heard bad stories about dark Africa and the people eating each other and so forth. But that is not the truth. We have been lied to. And part of our job here is to change that through education. This is part of that process of education. So for next time around, we will be looking at the great empires of Africa. In this presentation, we will focus on some of the great empires that existed in Africa well before Europe and before European oppression. And these are some of the areas that we'll cover. The great empires under consideration will be Egypt, Kushite, the Kushite Empire, Ghana, the Ghana Empire. Let me just admit our pastor here who's coming on. Yes, and get back to it. Yes, the spread of Islam in North Africa, the Nubians, Mansa Musa, the richest man that ever lived, and we will look at his empire, Mali, and the matter of Timbuktu we'll cover also. So some wonderful things to learn again. I tell you, I'm learning, and I hope you're learning too. And we can help to change the perception. We can help to educate others to understand, as Dr. Lexica said, we have been people who have achieved much in the past, and we can do it, as she said, as Marcus Garvey said, we can do it again. So let us come together again. We're going to call you back again in the next 3 months or so for series number 4, and we will cover this area of our work, the great empires under consideration, as I've listed here. You've seen it from on your screen here. So may I just thank everyone for coming tonight. I'm available for you to talk to me if you want to have my number. It's 07850-723-000. I repeat that. I don't have time now to put it on the chat. Just see if you can take it down. My number is 07850-723-000. And I did put in the chat already my email address, so you can contact me and let us continue this wonderful, exciting program of learning more about our heritage. It is something that will change our perception of who we are and make us wiser and make us more complete in understanding ourselves. So,
sorry, can you say your number again?
Okay, 07.
Hold on. 07
850
850
723
723
000.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Pastor Mario, I'm going to leave you to bring us some closing remarks. You're here with us, and you've been an inspiration in many ways. So let me hear from you. I'm going to stop this now, and you can talk to us. But I want you to come along next time, because we have wonderful things to talk about as we learn more about ourselves. Again, the idea here is to learn more about ourselves, to change that narrative of negative and learn about ourselves and how we can continue to teach our children and others about where we are from, and also to put the platform. Africa is the beginning of history. Africa is the continuation of history, and Africa will be part of that, as we heard the song, passing over into Jordan. There's a great day coming, and I think that was the essence too of Sister Stacy. And there will be a wonderful day coming when all of these things will cease to happen. These oppression, injustices, and we'll have wonderful peace in a way that makes us happy people, not oppressed people, as we have been for so many centuries. So, Pastor Dr. Mario.
Thank you.
Philip, I'm going to take my screen off because we want to see you. Talk to us.
Thank you very much. Sorry, my apologies that I could not be.
Yes, it's okay. Don't worry. We know that
sharing, but it was heartwarming to see the number of persons here tonight. And so you want me to pray to end?
Where are you? Did I see a picture?
Yeah. Okay. See me here. You see me here?
Oh, okay. Yes. No, just a few words if you want to.
Yeah. Well. I just wanted to just affirm the work that is being done, and as you said, right, this is something great that has been started, and I'm hoping that it can continue as a lasting legacy to the next generation. You have planted a seed that I'm hoping will continue to germinate and grow, and I am looking forward to the harvest, if not in this lifetime, in our next generation.
Yes.
Because our heritage is tied up into who we are. Yeah. So we look forward to this materializing and becoming a powerful tool in helping us to reconnect with our humanity.
Thank you. You can pray for us, and then we can close.
So let's have a word of prayer tonight as we end. Father in heaven, we thank you for for creating us in your image and likeness. Thank you that you made us who we are, and we ought to be proud of who you made us. Thank you for this series of seminars that are not just designed to make us more conscious as Black people, but also to reconnect us to you, because ultimately that is where our true origin lies, in you, and with all humanity by extension. So we thank you for facilitators. Thank you for Dr. Davidson and Dr. Alexis, and using them in a special way tonight. And we pray, Lord, that this movement that has been launched will continue to grow and gain momentum as we share. May we collectively learn, and may we collectively be determined to bequeath to the next generation this information that we have that can help to instill in them a sense of pride and a sense of appreciation for who they are. And so we thank you tonight for all those who came, and we look forward to what lies ahead for us, we pray. Give us a good night's rest, we ask. And if it's your will, may we be awakened tomorrow morning to face the challenges of the new day and the week ahead, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.